Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. It's such a joy to be here with you again today. And as you just heard, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. So much gratitude to them. And again, welcome to another powerful conversation where curiosity meets the unknown. Tonight, we step into one of the most mysterious frontiers of human experience, precognition. The idea that glimpses of the future may reach us before events unfold. So is it intuition taken to its highest form, a language of dreams and symbols, or something far more complex and challenging, how we understand time itself? Joining us today are two remarkable voices who have spent years exploring the edges of consciousness and extraordinary encounters. Preston Dennett, a respected researcher and author known for his deep investigations into paranormal phenomenon, and Dolly Safran, a contactee whose personal experiences and insights have opened conversations about contact, awareness, and the hidden layers of perception. So I want you to think about the movie, if you saw it, The Minority Report. Its premise is about one of humanity's oldest obsessions. Can the future be known before it happens? And if it can, what does that do to justice, morality, and free will? The story itself imagines a world where precogs foresee murders before they occur, allowing police to arrest for these crimes that they haven't committed yet. The idea lands right in the center of this topic because it takes precognition out of the mystical shadows and forces it into a legal and ethical spotlight. So instead of asking whether foresight exists, the film asks so much more and so many dangerous questions, like what happens when society treats future visions as absolute truth. Now, we could go on and on about that movie alone, but instead, I am going to introduce our guests. Hello, Preston, and hello, Dolly.
Hello.
So good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's an honor. I can't wait, Carol Ann. This subject is very dear to my heart. So
yes, here too. It's a good one. So I wanna like step out and immediately clarify in your definition, and let's distinguish between precognition and intuition, because the books say that precog is the claim that someone can obtain information from the future before it happens, and it goes into much greater detail, and that intuition, on the other hand, is a very well understood psychology, and it's your brain doing rapid pattern recognition below your conscious awareness. So you absorb these tiny cues, tones of voice, maybe past experiences, all these things, and you have this intuitive sense and feel about them. So you guys can take it from there. Let's do a nice distinction and merging between the two.
All right,
Okay.
You start, Dolly, because you've got a much better definition of this straight from the ETs and your own experience. So,
Right. It's what I've been taught, and it's what I've experienced my entire life. First of all, the books are wrong. The science is not telling you the truth. It's a lot of made-up stories and definitions about things that stop humanity from using their abilities properly. It is a stopgap. It is a wall of belief to stop you from immersing yourself in totality of who you really are and how your consciousness, who you really are, is able to communicate with your physical mind. Precognition is not correct. And it is, I've never been taught that it is. I've been taught that all our abilities are very specific. So I'm going to give you the answer before I give you the term for it so that you understand it better. It's sometimes better to show you the situation and then tell you what it means. The situation is this: you are an intelligent, sentient consciousness that is indwelling your body. Your physical mind is not your consciousness. It is that which your consciousness operates to exist where you're at right now. Consciousness knows everything. It is in source at the same time you are here. It knows everything. It has no time limit on it. There is no dimensional space that it is. There's no arrow of time. It sees everything 100% of the time, everywhere, all at once, all at the same time. And it knows it, okay? You know it. You know what it is from your consciousness. We are, because of our sentience and our ability to understand with our physical mind that which consciousness is working on with us while we're here, you are able to perceive everything and anything you want to psychically outside of this dimensional space. It all breaks down extra dimensionally because there is no space-time where we dwell. Your consciousness is not a third dimensional dweller. It dwells everywhere all at once, all at the same time. Okay. I love that term. A movie had it and it fit perfectly. You are aware in your perception of everything around you. You hear other people think, you hear everybody across the globe, across the universe. Everything affects you, from those that are close to you all the way to the other side of the universe. We are connected 100% together, all at once, all at the same time. Your abilities allow you to warn yourself. Your consciousness is that which directs you. So if you get a conscious awareness in either a dream or a feeling or intuition or whatever you want to describe it as psychically, that's you telling you that something's about to happen. It has nothing to do with anything except this. It is expecting you to react to it right now. It's not asking you to think about it and worry about it and consider all the variables of it. It wants you to react in a personal way. And I'll give you an example. Jean Dixon knew that Kennedy was going to be shot. She's a very psychic woman. She had her ways of understanding and knowing things, and she perceived that he was going into a situation that was deadly to him and that he would be killed for it if he didn't take precautions to protect himself. She knew that she needed to act right now and do what she could to warn him, to give him that message. So she did. She warned him. She told him everything. He had private meetings with her about it. And he decided on his own what to do about it. Because actually, we all have free will. It doesn't matter what you know about anything. It's how you perceive it and understand it and how you react to it. So you can be given a good message that's true and you still don't react to it. And it's all on you because it's your will, correct? Nobody has the right to deny you free will. Nobody. Your free will is about you and nobody else. And how you conduct that free will going forward through everything with consciousness teaches you that if you know something, react to it then. It's not so much about what it is that you're reacting to. It's pushing you to do that which you must do to prepare yourself to either be a proactive participant in this or one that needs to push somebody else to be a proactive. In other words, if I knew that my great-grandmother was going to fall in a hole next week because my consciousness is going, grandma's messed up and it's coming, look, okay, you know it. I would proactively go and be with her that day and hold her in stasis. I would protect her from herself. That's my path. That's my conscious desire. Preston hates that word. He loves that word at the same time, and so do I, to enact a moment of movement in her direction, because I know that if she did, she would get hurt and it might kill her right away. You know, people who fall when they're that old can die from it. And I didn't want that to happen. And my consciousness was alerting me to it. And so I would go and help her. And hopefully she would let me, still up to her. And we'd see a different outcome. This has nothing to do with the law. This has nothing to do with overt events that we can stop. We're all free-willed. We all have the ability to decide for ourselves how we're going to react to what our awareness is telling us. So instead of using the word precog, because it mystifies everything, it doesn't give you the ability to go past that idea and go into something else. And that's accept the fact that you are aware, you're capable of seeing everything everywhere all at once, and how you respond to it, your responsibility to it. Buddha taught this. Buddha taught us to let go of that which does not matter and to pay attention to that which does through us. To do no harm if we can, but not cause harm on purpose. You know, we fall into things that can happen negatively, yes, but we're supposed to think about not doing harm. So me helping my grandmother not fall in that hole was me not doing harm, allowing her to come to harm through me.
Yeah.
If we learn to understand awareness, conscious awareness, not precog, but the awareness of real time, because you are actually involving your physical mind into another dimensional space where there is no time, that the past, the present, and the future is all coming at you, and you can see it for what it is. And it gives you choices to make about how you're going to react to it. Your reaction to reality is paramount while you are here. And that's what this is all about. If we shroud things in mystery, if we shroud things in negativity, if we call it something that it's really not, we're hurting ourselves, because we're not giving everybody the opportunity to experience what it really is and to use it as a tool in their sentience and their path while they're here.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that, but we use language to understand and differentiate. It's not so much to mystify, it's to demystify and try and understand the difference between what they call precog and what they call intuition. And theoretically, there is a distinction between the two, because many of us have intuition. We, like you said, get messages about our grandmother falling, things like that. And then you've got government programs that there are many of, where they are tapping in and into these key indicators to develop programs where they get people that have precog, where they can see into the future, like the Stargate project, which ran from 1970 to 1995. That was a U.S. intelligence-funded program. You've got the Stanford Research Institute. You've got many of them. So I think that rather than get tripped up in a word, maybe you don't think it's accurate. That could be very well true. But I think in order to understand and differentiate between the two, it's important to just bring clarity to that.
Yes, you're asking for the actual understanding reality of it. And words are important because they either tell you the truth or they lie to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and one of the things that I'm trying to establish here in this talk that we're having is which words are lies to you and which words are not. It doesn't matter if they have control over all the words. That means they have control over what you think. And if you want to understand true reality, knowing what reality is more important than the word. And so
absolutely, but I think distinguishing it, just to kind of clarify for the sake of the topic, it's a good idea to just get that out of the way.
So I can't give a definition to precog because no definition exists in reality to that word. But what word I can give you is conscious awareness. That's how it is. We are all consciously aware. It's not precog that we're operating here. It's our conscious awareness. That's reality. And one of the things that I hope to do is to get people to stop being told what to think and to use your own ability to think about these things and come up with your own answers about them. If I keep writing over everything like everybody else does and try to redefine everything, I'm not helping anybody. I can only help you if you're willing to operate it yourself. And the only thing that you are operating is not a word. You're operating your conscious awareness. That is the reality. And if you have to define something, I would use, in my own understanding of it, that I am consciously aware. You don't need a word to tell you how to understand something. That's why people misunderstand, or they don't, that people talk about downloads, right? And they get everything all at once. It's like a giant download, and they have to pick through it and figure it out for themselves. Okay. Well, that's how psychic ability operates. You've got everything all at once, all of the time on you, and you have to consciously, in awareness, figure out what it is. If you're too busy following what that word says and what they tell you to do and all these horrors that they're committing, and they are, you're not helping yourself understand reality at all.
Yeah, well, that's the point of this podcast, is to bring clarity to this topic. Right. Preston, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to underline what Dolly says because I think she's 100% correct. Words are certainly important because it's how we communicate, but they're loose nets for the actual meaning. And when people start experiencing these kinds of events, we start picking all these different words to sort of categorize them. So we have words like intuition, clairvoyance, precognition, remote viewing, premonitions, all of these things, which are essentially all the same thing. It's us perceiving, and it's a natural human ability. This is how we're supposed to be. So I just want to underline that this is not like deductive reasoning, kind of like taking cues. No. This is you tapping in to who you truly are as a eternal conscious being connected to source. As a very young kid, I had an incident of this, of what we call precognition. Now remember, here on the physical plane, we experience time differently than perhaps we experience it on the other side. This is depending on a person's level of awareness and how much wisdom they've collected, because truly time is something of a product of the physical plane, how we perceive it as a sequence of events. It's not like that on the other side. You can see the past, you can see the future, but it's not, those are kind of misnomers themselves, because the whole universe is happening all at once.
Yeah, time is a construct. I mean,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So when I was like 9 years old, I was sitting in front of the TV with my sister, and the game show Treasure Hunt came on. And damned if I didn't know who was going to be picked in the audience. And she was. There was 3 people, and they each had to pick, a canister which had the flowers to play the game. And I'm like, it's that canister. I knew this. This was what we would call precognition, but really it's just awareness is what it is. You connecting to what you already, in a sense, know. And so I knew which box had the check in it. I don't know how this happened. This is something that I think just as a child we're more open to this. I don't like the term psychic ability. I think it's a little bit misleading because this is something we all have. It's part of life. It is who we are. And this is absolutely, I think we have to be very careful with the words we use, because they can be a barrier. I understand that they have a purpose, but they start to get misused. Like, I can raise my vibration. Well, no, it's just, you really can't. A vibration is a thing. So I think we're struggling with the terminology with this subject. And I think a lot of it's been shrouded in woo-woo and mysticism when really it shouldn't be. I just want to basically underline what Dolly's saying. It's a natural human ability. It's perception. It's awareness.
I know, but there's a lot of people that they're not in touch with that. And they don't, they need clarity to understand what intuition is and what it means and how they can tap into it. It's so interesting because you mentioned downloads before, I think, Dolly, and it's so true. Like, I've had downloads come to me and I found them to be very different than my own intuitive voice. Like, for instance, I can walk into a lottery store and all of a sudden I just get this blast of intuition. It says pick number 6, like a scratch off. And I can 9 out of 10 times use that and get lucky. And I was right. My intuition was speaking to me with clarity. And then I had an occasion before the pandemic. I got a very different intuition, what I call a download, in my kitchen that brought me to tears. And my husband, God rest his soul, was there to witness it. And it showed me everything basically that was going to happen with the you know what. Okay.
Mhm.
So there's a huge difference between getting a download and having those moments of like pattern recognition or intuition. So I think
Okay.
it's important to distinguish between
Okay,
them.
well, that's important, and you're making a good point, and I'll give you the answer. One of them is your physical brain's perception, and the other is your consciousness, understanding what's going on. And we have to learn to differentiate for when we're thinking only in our head and allowing our consciousness to walk with us and communicate with us. You're very clearly stating which one each one of them is. Intuition is consciousness, okay? You walking into a lottery store and knowing which number is your consciousness giving you the clue. It's telling you, "Ta-da!" Okay. When you get a download of information, when you get blasted, that's because everybody in the universe who's on the other side and all around us at the same time are communicating with us all at the same time. And if you have an ability to perceive that which they're trying to communicate with you all at once, you get a bloody download. And they're all speaking to you at the same time. That's more than your intuition. Those are other voices transmitting to you through your consciousness that hit your brain pan, and you go, "Whoa!" Okay,
Good news. You're connected.
So that you understand that you are a transmitter of information and a receiver of information at the same time, and your consciousness is that which is the facilitator of both those things. Consciousness hears everything. What you're transmitting out from your physical mind or your consciousness out into the ether, and that which is in the ether coming in at you. And understanding that this is a swamp that you're walking in, it can be very overwhelming for everybody. Because if you don't know what it is, you have to learn how to walk into it gradually. Like little children learning how to do things or talk or have emotions or whatever. This is a gradual process. Us talking here about this right now is how we all help each other understand.
Right.
This is how we help each other think about it so that each of us can decide for ourselves whether this is true, works or not, by employing the information to see if it does work. See what I'm saying?
I think anyone who's empathetic knows exactly what it's like to be a little bit overwhelmed by things. It's funny, right before the pandemic hit, I had this incredible urge to just stock up on food.
Yeah.
And I went, I'm like, you know what? I think I should do it again. And I was too late for the second weekend. By then the stores were bare and I never did get toilet paper. But it's funny.
You're so right about that. You're so right about that because I had that with the masks. And I'm in the car with my husband and I said, we need to go to Home Depot or CVS or something and get masks. He's like, why? And I said, just please, like, let's do this. And then the next day, all the stores were wiped out of masks. And I didn't wear them, but something was telling me I didn't wear them.
Yeah, that was you. That was your consciousness informing you. Get it done. React to it right now. And you did. Dolly, you absolutely did.
Dolly said something, we were talking about this. We talked about an hour before the show about this because we both had some really interesting things to say. And Dolly's like, you need to understand this. But what she said, something that really spoke to me, and you repeated it just a little bit earlier, Dolly, is that it's all about taking action. And that was one where I did listen to it. I'm like, yes, I did take action. Yeah. There was a story. There's this wonderful book by David Ryback, Ryback, Dreams That Come True. Highly recommend it because it talks about this. And there was an incident in that book where a lady had a dream that her 4-year-old child was walking by a lake and fell in the water and drowned to death. Woke up absolutely horrified. She's like, I don't even know this lake. I don't know this place. Don't know what this dream means, but I didn't like it. It was essentially a nightmare. Of course, it was a week or two later. They went camping. She saw the lake. She's like, oh my God, this is the lake. And this all happened in a matter of minutes. She's like, oh my God, my child is down by the lakeside. She went running and got
Wow.
that child as they were falling in and scooped them up. Perfect example of what Dolly is talking about.
Yeah.
If I may give one other example real quick. I
Okay.
was driving along the freeway once
Mm.
in LA. And if you've ever driven in LA, you know you're taking your life in your hands.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in the fast lane and I started to get this feeling like, slow down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh. So I did. And I just pulled way back and there was this car in front of me. And shortly after that, bam, it collided into somebody. I had just enough time to swerve around it
Wow.
because I listened. But the feeling of, I could just feel death around me before this happened. I'm like, I'm feeling something really odd here. I need to take action. And I did. And I'm so glad because there's been times when I haven't. I got a ticket once. Don't park here. You're going to get a ticket. Didn't listen. Got
Oh my
a ticket.
God. I can't tell you like how I rely on that. And to comment on this question that Michael Kennedy asked here, wouldn't precognition allow us to buy lottery tickets to the Powerball? For me, it doesn't work that way. For me, anytime I've been lucky like that, it's more of an internal voice, and I can tell it's not my regular thought. It's very, very different, and it compels me to listen to it. And I've learned to do that. So comments on that?
Yeah, I got one right now. Okay. We have to remember something that's very important about life. We're all here together and we all live together and we're supposed to be helping one another. And when you play a game that has a set number of rules in it, that it's a chance game and that you can't knowing beforehand is not fair play. It's immoral. And if I wanted to win the lottery tomorrow, I could do it. But it's immoral for me to do that because I'm not playing the game properly. That's a moral statement that I'm making, that I understand that if I exist here, I have to play with everybody else in fair play. We have to be good to one another. And it's not okay for me to take advantage of anybody else because of my abilities. And the same goes for everybody else. Okay? We have to understand that it's not just using or understanding what consciousness is, it's understanding all of the parameters of what it means. And you did tie into this briefly at the beginning about police and the law and all this other kind of stuff, okay? If you know somebody's going to murder somebody, you know it. And you just got that, you dreamt it or you had it come to you, download, whatever. It is your choice to react to it right now. So if you react to it, how do you deal with that? There's a real easy thing you can do. You can do what I just did, and I'm not going to tell you what, who, when, where, and why, but I gave the information to an authority that could deal with it. In other words, I made sure that I'm not the only one that knows this. I gave the information to somebody else so that they could deal with it, okay? That's our responsibility, moral responsibility, and it's met by people who are in a moral position to either guard somebody from being killed or deal with who did it.
Yeah, but that's very different, Dolly, than walking. See, like if I walk in a store and my consciousness speaks to me and says, hey, pick number 6 lottery ticket, I don't think of it as theft. I think that the universe designed that for me as a gift. I'm not stealing.
That's a different situation, and you're correct. That's
right. I'm just listening to my intuition that's guiding me to say, hey, Carol Ann, the universe wants you to have this $20 or whatever it is.
Right. That's a whole nother situation.
Yeah, there was a lady in my office who dreamt the lottery numbers.
Wow.
We were all listening. She says, yeah, I just heard this voice shouting out these numbers. So she played and she won $5.
Oh,
yeah. That's a whole nother situation. If your consciousness decides that you're do this, it will give you the information so that you can obtain it. That's
Absolutely.
a whole other situation. But doing something that goes against moral amplitude is huge. I don't need to win the lottery. I'm okay. All right. And it would be morally incorrect for me to use that ability that I do have to win the lottery. I know better. Okay. Now, if something came at me, if my consciousness was going, this is a situation, and I did do it once, and you're exactly correct. I went into a store. It's when the lottery in Georgia first came out. I think it was in 2000. No, it was in 1989. And I went to the store And I was in the store and it hit me in the brain pan. Play it. You know the number. You'll win. Go ahead. Go for it. Give it a shot. Okay. And I did. I did it. Tell them, pull that ticket. I want that ticket. I won $486. Boom.
Oh, yay.
Okay. And I went, oh God. And it taught me two lessons. It one that I could be given the gift, but I also realized in that moment, empirically understood that yes, I'm psychic enough to go win the big lottery if I want to. I practiced twice on the 3 numbers. I knew it was going to be a low one and there would be billions of people playing and we'd all get like a set amount. So I played the pick 3 and I won $47. Okay. And because everybody else was picking the same number that day, I knew without a doubt that I could do this. And then it just drove it home to me at that point. That was my second lesson. Do not use this against any human being whatsoever.
No, you could use it to donate it to charity too.
Yeah,
so
which I did. I gave it to somebody. I paid for gas.
Right. So if you want to help someone or help an organization, you can use your
$3 billion is immoral. You can't do it. No, because it takes it away from
everybody feels differently about that. But I wanted to ask you guys about government programs because as I mentioned, there are some government programs that they're using for future oriented predictions so that they can, and we have this in our current lives that we're dealing with. Our phones are spying on us. There are flock cameras everywhere watching everything that we do so that the government and other elite agencies can recognize pattern recognition in what we do. And they're developing ways to what they say is to stop future crimes. So what's your thoughts on these type of nefarious programs?
It's a control tactic and they're cheating in humanity out of their own ability to make decisions for themselves. We're not here to be told what to do. We're not here to be predicted anything. If you take life out of the hands of the people who are living it, you are wrong. And they do not have the ability, that is a lie. They do not have the ability to predict the future in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. None of them.
Well, I think they're hiring people. They're gathering up folks with abilities and the same
causing situations to occur and then saying they predicted it. That's not true. Mm-hmm. It's when you start lying and you believe your own BS and you get everybody else to believe it. That's not a good situation. And we're in it right now. It's anarchy and we cannot tolerate that. Okay. When we're in the middle of a swimming pool and we got 50 sharks around us and they're going, hey, listen, you'll be okay if you go over there. And then you go over there and that shark gets you. What have you done for yourself? You're not thinking for yourself. You're letting somebody else tell you where you're safe or where you're secure or what to think. And that's exactly how they're handling us. They have mechanical ability to ruse, lie to you, gaslight you into doing what they want. They're not predicting anything. They have learned to control you with words and things, period.
Yeah, I'd be very wary of anything coming from the intelligence community and government.
Oh, my word.
They're actually trying, or they're launching a campaign of fear and drugging the population and so forth. I don't want to get too doom and gloomy, but they know about psychic abilities and they're working hard to take the power.
Terrified of us going over and developing the ability to outsmart them.
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah. In 1966,
all about suppressing us, fluoride in the water, so on and so forth.
This is something that we should all be much more aware of and really work on personally.
Absolutely.
In 1966, a bunch of people in, I think it was Wales, started getting precognition of a landslide that was burying children. Of course, this turned out to happen. It was the Aberfan disaster.
Oh, my goodness.
And so many people had some precognition, or let me rephrase that, awareness of this, that it became well known. They actually started a bureau for people to report their, so-called premonitions. We need to find better terminology for this. Dolly's very adamant on this because she's right. It limits us if we start calling things, something that it's not. This was true with the Titanic too. There was over 100 instances of people. There was a lady who stayed up all night. She knew it was coming.
About that. Yeah.
and actually saved her life because of it. And yeah, I saw someone in chat saying, I had an instance where, my own perception saved my life.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what the best word to call this stuff is because I'm still hooked on precognition. And Dolly's like, no.
Conscious awareness.
I know, but that's not the mainstream. Just for the sake of conversation, it's okay to use the word precog. We all know what your interpretation is, and I agree. Yeah. I agree with that, Dolly. But just for the sake of conversation, it's fine to call it precog. It's fine. So what were you saying, Preston?
Yeah, there's so many. I'm writing a book on this actually, called Supernatural Survival.
Oh,
where people have had these kinds of instances happen that save their lives. And I'm super interested in it because people call it, it's a synchronicity. It's my intuition. It was foreknowledge, premonition, foresight.
Yeah, there's so many words. I mean, it's crazy, right?
None of them mean what it actually is. None of them.
It's all essentially, it's you who's doing it. I had one instance, and this just comes to mind for some reason, where I had a dream I was in a black SUV going around a corner too fast, and it tumbled, and I died in the accident.
Oh, geez.
And I thought, gosh, that's a weird one. Because every now and then I get these, I'm like, this is not, you can actually trace your dreams. Most of them are fear, desire, and so forth. But I've learned to recognize when one's, quote, precognitive. When one has, how would I phrase it? When one has knowledge that's useful.
How about your consciousness is talking to your physical mind, and your physical mind got the message?
Yeah.
Okay? So there's an understanding that's called physical understanding of that which you're telling yourself. In other words, there's no really one word, it's a concept. And I know people get stuck on not understanding concepts, but we need to learn to develop that ability as well.
Because I didn't know what to do with this, because I'm like, I don't know what this is. So I drove carefully, but it turned out to happen, and it was Tiger Woods. Very tragic accident. It was like the next day or the day after. I'm like, that's it. That's it. I knew he had just gone too fast. He just lost control of the car. That's what happened.
I'm going to make a point right now, okay? Just by what you said. So you got something on you that you don't understand. Everybody needs to understand and realize that you can verify and expand on what that is. And you give your consciousness, you directly go within to go without, go to your consciousness and say, I don't get this. I know you just warned me about something. I'm listening. My physical mind is open. I'm listening to you now. Explain it out. What do I have to do with this? And get an answer. If you can ask the universe for anything, that's one of the most important lessons we need to learn. When your consciousness is absolutely, here's your sign. Look at what I'm saying to you.
Right.
Respond to it. That is what I mean by act right now. Figure it out. Go the extra mile. Get consciousness, you're who you are, to get your physical mind to hear exactly what it means and what to do about it. Because you're being warned. You're being told. It absolutely applies to you, and you need to figure it out. That is a concept that we're not adding in. That's the wall that precog, most people hear precog and they go, okay, well, I got time to think about this. No, you do not. You need to respond to it right now. You need to figure out what it is right now.
Almost all of mine have happened the next day.
Dolly, because I think a lot of people, I know myself, when I was in my teens, I had to distinguish between the squirrel brain chatter and the intuition chatter that was happening. And over time, I was able to learn what was just like negative voices aside from, because, sometimes you can think, oh my God, I don't want to get on the road today. I'm going to get in a car accident. And that's just your squirrel brain. So you can distinguish between the two. There's definitely a way to tell, but it's a very personal thing. You have to learn it.
Everybody has to understand if you're thinking with your head or you're thinking through your consciousness.
Right.
One of them is, this is the computer, and the computer's trying to figure it out, and you have to allow who you really are to program what's going on in here. Okay.
Right.
That's why it's so easy to make people believe things that are not true, because we're not listening to our own voice. We're listening to other voices.
Absolutely. This is why I don't watch the news, and I don't watch a lot of the garbage that's on TV, because it's just programming. It's just, but interestingly, a lot of the movies have predictive programming, and they've been, foreshadowing and predicting a lot of the garbage that we're experiencing right now too. So there's that.
There's a book called Incredible Synchronicities. And this one incident comes to mind because it's speaking to this, about how people pay attention to, this awareness that they're experiencing. There was a group of 14 people, I think it was, who were all supposed to meet at a church. And when they were supposed to be there, there was an explosion, a gas explosion in the church, and it was devastated. Nobody had shown up. Every single one of them had a reason that they didn't show up.
That's
and they
great.
thought it was all synchronicity, but I don't know. That's
Okay.
Well, you had that with 9/11 too, Preston. There were a lot of people the morning of 9/11 that were told intuitively not to go to work, and I've seen them in interviews talking about it, and they were like, "My gut." They use their gut. They say, "I had a gut feeling."
About it
Okay,
too.
let's not have. All right, I want to explain something to you, because you stated it, and now I'm going to tell you. Okay. What you have to understand about humanity is that which wants to do something bad or cause situations to happen will plan it for a long time. It will actually engage many other people in the plan and then execute the plan and then make it look like something that it's not. Here we go. Let's do this. Let's use The Simpsons, how supposedly it's predicting all this stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. What it is that we have a military industrial complex that is worldwide now, and they are in control of everything. Trust me, they are. And they've been planning since forever time ago that this, and this is going to happen. And we're picking the dates and we're going to shoot for it. It's going to happen. It's called planned genocide of thought and words and deeds. Okay.
Yeah.
So when a helicopter crashes, trust me, it was planned. They did it on purpose. If a building like the Twin Towers comes down, it was planned. They did it.
I agree.
If a president gets shot, it's planned. They did it.
Absolutely.
If it's predicted, it's because the idiots who are doing the predicting are part of the plan.
Probably.
Please don't be naive, ever. If there's, they want to shoot down conspiracy theorists, this is no theory about conspiracy. This is about bloody telling the truth of what you can factually see happening in real time in your lifetime or over a matter of years, and you go, wow. Okay. Yeah. And you realize it happened. Evil likes to plan things out. If you want to know the definition of narcissism, one of the huge parts of it, that how you describe it, is that this person has no feelings for nobody, nowhere, at no time, and they will actually take years to plan your demise. That's what narcissism.
I had read that it's called the revelation of the method is the terminology they use, and they have to tell you because they think that it's relieving their karmic outcome.
They don't want to be blamed.
Right. So they feel if they tell you, that takes
not
the
on
pressure
them, it's on you. Every narcissist I know never takes responsibility for anything, and they will gaslight you and make you believe that you're the one with the problem and not them. So yes, that's exactly what's happening.
Yep.
Okay.
So can I talk a little bit about dreams?
Absolutely.
Because this is how I've had a lot of my own precognition, is through the dream state, which if you study, people who have knowledge of so-called future events, a lot of it is dealing with people who are perhaps meditating or dissociated in some way. Mine always came after an out-of-body experience. So I studied dreams intensely and found out that there are different levels of dreaming, different levels of awareness, because dreams are kind of a form of awareness. And it starts out with the lowest level of dreaming is basically venting dreams. You're processing the events you experienced that day. The next level would be dreams that are psychologically based, meaning they're about your fears and your desires mostly, your repressions. And then you go up a level from there where you start having lucid dreaming. You've woken up into the dream state. You have raised your awareness, your consciousness to a point where you are able to bring full waking consciousness ability into the dream state. But then it goes up a level from there to what's they used to call dreaming true. I like that term better than precognitive dreaming. And this is when you start seeing events that will occur the next day. And it's so cool when this happened, because I would have this and I'd walk into work and suddenly little sparkles would appear in the air and I'd start to know what's going to happen. Like I had a dream that my boss walked up to my desk and said, guess what? I was out camping and I saw a UFO and it was this big and it was yellow and it darted around. He did that. He walked up to me and suddenly I was feeling.
That's validation.
He was kidding. He was just joking. But
the words but you had
were absolutely correct. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because I call that waking lucidity.
Yes.
You're lucid in the dream state, but then you're lucid when you are absolutely awake already, and there's a higher level of awareness. But then you get to another state where you move beyond dreaming. And this is what Dolly is talking about. She rarely has dreams. She connects directly to source. And this is what we can all do, and what we actually all do. We do this. It's just a matter of remembering and pulling, maybe you can explain the other, gaining enough experience and wisdom to understand what's going on here. It's like learning how to
ride a bike and then do all the tricks on the bike that you want to do, okay? Or it's like learning how to use your artistic abilities, drawing or painting, whatever.
Applied knowledge.
You're that on one level, and then you move up until you gain the ability to employ everything possible for you to create something. Your consciousness is ever talking to you and trying to get your physical mind to hear you and listen to you. And we have to endeavor to allow that connection to be wide open. That's when I say I am a wide open conscious person. I am conscious and aware 24/7. I hear my consciousness as I'm speaking to you. I can hear the consciousnesses of other people while I'm speaking to you. There's no division in my mind of awareness. Awareness is the key word here. We should endeavor to dive deeply into awareness. It's the truth. It's reality. It's perception. It's all of these good things. And we are being inundated by opportunists who don't want you to do that, because if you were doing that, you would know beforehand what they're about to do to you. I want to tell you something. I've lived my entire life being banned from reacting to everything that I know by ETs themselves, because I was working with them. No, you can't do this. It's up to them. I was trained in Buddhistic, theory. And he said, you would be taking control of something that you have no right to control. And that was a hard one for me to learn. The only person I can control is me. And that's what awareness teaches. It absolutely teaches you that it's your awareness, your perception, your reaction to everything that's paramount. If we all learn to react properly and see things properly and be in awareness, we wouldn't hurt each other. We wouldn't believe their BS. Yeah. We wouldn't see
understand we're connected. Yeah. Now here's how you can, who's ever listening, you can do this. Here's some steps towards it. Certainly learning astral projection will give you a huge step up. Almost every time I went out of body, I would come away with this kind of knowledge. But here's how anyone can do this in terms of dreaming true. I found this out. It was amazing. Whenever I was able to remember at least 4 dreams per night, one of them would be precognitive. One of them would be dreaming true. So if you can get to the level where you can remember all your dreams in the evening, 4, 5, or $6 to donuts, one of them is going to have information that will pertain to the next day. And again, this is just how we perceive events here on the physical plane. We're not our bodies. We're not our physical mind. We are already connected to source. We know all of this. It's
absolutely. Absolutely. I want to ask both of you about deja vu. We've all had them. Most of us have. Some of us have had more experience than others. How does that fit into this whole narrative?
What you call deja vu is you are, you OBE every night. You go out of body every night. Once your body calms down and it goes to sleep, your consciousness doesn't have to lay there all night with you. It's busy and can go out, okay? And it sees things and it knows things. And if you're lucid sometimes during the night, you come up into lucidity and you hear yourself thinking or seeing things. That's where you try to understand, which is there's no difference in time. Okay. It's everything all at once, all at the same time. And you just know things because your consciousness went out and saw it and did it and employed it, and you caught it. You're hearing yourself think and see and feel while you're out of body. Some of us out of body in our dreams, some of us out of body lucidly and are 100% in effect walking it themselves. And then other people have a type of out of body experience where they don't remember anything until they get keyed to it, just like you're describing. And that's what you call deja vu. It's where it boop and the memory hits you like a hard brick. Okay, you go, oh.
That's it's the feeling that you've done this before, like the song by Crosby, Stills and Nash. We feel like in that moment this happened already. So it's almost like a stepping into the future seconds before and pulling in that experience. That's what it feels
a really good point, though, because deja vu can sometimes be a past life, and this is really pointing towards what is past, what is future, what is going on, because there are people who are like walk to a place like, gosh, deja vu. I feel like
it's your physical mind.
Your future step. Your consciousness stepping into the future.
No, that's not how that works. It's a misnomer. Don't think of it that way. That's not what it is. If you already know everything all at once, all the time, past, present, and future, because we're thinking about it in a timeline here, okay? Your physical mind sees it that way. So realize that that's not what you're doing. Your consciousness already knows all this stuff, and your physical mind remembers what your consciousness is thinking sometimes, and it'll get triggered. Something will trigger the memory. You go, oh. And what you're really actually doing is remembering who you are, what you are, and why you are, and you're experiencing it as a whole. It's not you're walking into the future. Everything all at once and all of the time is exactly what you're experiencing. It's a whole memory, not a piece of a memory or a future memory or past, because there is no such thing outside of this dimension or outside of this mind.
This will kind of drive that point home. I would sometimes have what I would call retro precognition, where I would remember a dream a long time ago that was precognitive, but the event already happened. I didn't remember any of it until the past.
You got triggered. Yeah, something triggered him to remember.
Here's a good example of a trigger, which Dolly and I were talking about before the show. I walked into work one day and sat down, and my boss got up, my supervisor, I should say, and turned on the radio really loud. She never does this. We're only allowed to listen to the radio at a certain tone. And as soon as she did this, I got deja vu. And it started sweeping over me. And then it hit me. I dreamt that. She got up, walked, turned on the radio, and walked out. It was ultimately what Dolly's talking about here. Just simple perception.
Radio awareness, perception, yeah.
But it came first as deja vu.
Yeah.
But I recalled it through a dreaming tree.
I mean, we were talking earlier about, Dolly was making the point that if you have a precog event, let's just call it that, and you're seeing your grandmother fall, and you see it with so much clarity, and you don't listen to that voice, and then after the event happens, that person is riddled with guilt. I should have said something. I mean, I've had friends, so many of them, say that to me, like, oh my God, I should have said something. I had a feeling about. To me, I don't think that person should be laden with guilt. I think that's just the way it should have been. That maybe you did have a precog event. Yes, there's no doubt. But maybe it wasn't your responsibility to interfere in that.
Okay,
like, why does that person have to feel?
No, you're overthinking it. There is no guilt. There should be no guilt. And the reason for no guilt is this. You decided to react to it. Your grandparent or whoever that person is also reacted to their life their way. It's their choice. Okay.
Right.
You can warn people and you can go and try to help them, but they're still going to make the decision. That's what I meant when I said that.
I'm talking about when you don't say something, Dolly.
I know that's your decision not to talk. It's the same thing.
Right.
But at the same time, everything happens, everything everywhere all at once. Even if you went to her and said, if I went to my grandma and said, Grandma, you're going to fall in that hole, let's avoid it all day. And she said, I don't know what you're saying. Don't be ridiculous.
I get that. I get that. That's her decision.
It's her decision. So we make a decision and there's no guilt. But what it does teach you is this, that your ability just gave you information that you should react to one way or the other. And that you should know, this is what knowing is, knowing that you have that ability and that it's operating in you. And if you make the decision not to, there's still no guilt. Not my circus, not my monkey.
Exactly. That's the point I was making originally, that person shouldn't be laden with guilt because the universe just designed
your operate anyway.
Sometimes it provides a level of comfort to a person. You know what I mean?
We have to remember that this is how karma works. This is karma. And we try to attach these kind of things to karma, and it's not really karma. It's something else. Okay. I can make a bad decision to hurt myself or somebody else. That's karmic. I can make a decision to go this way or that way, and I choose the wrong way. That's karmic. Somebody else can make a bad decision that comes my way and injures me. That's karmic. We both have karma on us in that moment. I've got karma how I react to it, and you have karma because you did it. Those are all karmic. But when we see reality, awareness, and we realize that we have a decision to make, that's not karma. You know what that is? It's a lesson on how to do it the next time.
Absolutely.
That's not to. It literally teaches you how to operate your ability. Okay. It's a lesson, not karmic. It's a lesson. Okay. So I know that, and this happened, and I decided not to do it. You bet your bippy I am not going to do that again. I just learned that, yes, it is my responsibility to say something or try to help if I can. If it's not accepted, on them. Okay. But I still learn to operate my own ability the best way I know how. And that's proof that you have the ability.
Very close attention to what's going on inside your head. There was another incident where I just started to develop this fear of spiders. I don't have a fear of spiders.
I don't like them.
I kept getting this weird thing, every time I put on my shoes, I would be obsessed that there was something in there. And I would knock them out. I'd look in there. I'm like, why am I doing this? I've never done this before. The third day I did that, I knocked out this ginormous spider out of my shoe. And that concern completely left me.
Oh, my
I was
goodness.
picking up on it because I was paying attention.
You were. Did you continue doing that, or were you good?
I was fine after that.
Wow.
I get weird things like that. Like here was another one. I'd walk into work and I kept seeing this crack in the sidewalk, which I'd walked over 100 times. I'm like, gosh, that looks like Betty Boop. I'm like, why does that look like Betty Boop? This is crazy. I'm losing my mind because I couldn't, every time I walked over, I'd see it. And then I found out that the person who drew Betty Boop had just died. Didn't see Betty Boop there anymore. This is how people read tea leaves or look at clouds or,
they're just using using a technique to help them operate their abilities. Okay.
Right.
Operate their awareness. It's like, people who use divination rods, and all. It's not the rod that's doing it. It's you, but you're employing a physical attribute to punching yourself up into your ability, your awareness. That's all it is. It's if I hold this, my awareness is going to kick into me and I'm going to be good, And then one day you wake up and you go, I really don't need this. I'm already aware. I can do it without it. And you just walk into that situation. We all have crutches. We all have, ways of helping ourselves to do things until we can let go of what that is and just do it ourselves. That's important to understand about humanity. We all think this way. We all use this to operate safely through our lives, right? We have to employ that which helps us make it through understanding and employ wisdom and knowledge. Okay.
Why do you think intuition comes through symbols and numbers sometimes? It's like for some people, they don't really get that intuitive voice. They'll see repeated numbers, or they look at
mind is interpreting the physical mind has to see the symbols. Your ability doesn't, but it's your crutch. Your physical mind is crutching right now, and it's not totally 100% connected to it. So it makes associations. It knows that if you see or feel this is happening. That's your brain doing it, not your consciousness. You can get past that. You can break that barrier and go through it. I did it as a small child, really small for a while. I would smell something or see a shape. I still smell things. I still use that crutch of perception. It's a physical mind thing. We have perceptions and we associate them with our abilities, but it's a crutch. It's still a crutch. I know that if I smell lilacs, my great grandmother is going, hey,
Yeah.
A lot of mediums do this exact sort of thing. Like, well, I see a rose, and they know what rose means. Teresa Caputo, she's one of my favorite. She was amazing because she starts with that. She was talking to this old man, and finally she just started absolutely broke past that and was holding a conversation with his deceased wife.
Yeah.
And then she turned to him and said,
her ability to do that. That happens to me now. I actually see and hear the people.
She told him, you don't even actually need me to do this, do you? You're doing it. You're doing this. And he's like, and he smiled. And he's like, yeah, we talk all the time. And it was just so touching. But some people do use symbols. And I totally agree with Dolly. It's, the same thing as a crystal ball. You can do with anything. You could look at the clouds in the sky, and that will give you a tool. Like, what do you see? The Rorschach test is a good example, which people use to get psychological insight. But you can absolutely do that with
your abilities.
Universe itself.
However, you're employing the ability, start off there and then move forward with it and get so good at it. You don't need to. You can put the tool down, and you're operating without the tool, literally. Yeah.
Chicken bones, honestly, no. Chicken.
Yeah, I think, and this is what I've learned over watching history and seeing how we've reacted to everything. It's human beings like to be titillated. They like things to be weird. They like things to be out of their control. They want to know, or they want to feel like there's something over them, and that was taught to them. And so whatever taught them that has employed it into the max. So you get a medium and you walk in and it's all dressed out and there's a big crystal ball and things lift off the floor and everything's going wild around you. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And you believe that this person is da-da-da-da-da. You don't understand that you're walking in there already with that same ability. Okay. I'm going to use this as a thing. People like to use flashing lights and sounds and they tell you things, blah, 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 blah. Mysticism is not helping us. It's hurting our ability to hear reality and see reality for what it really is. Our need to believe in a word, and the word is believe, is not okay, because that word can be invalid. That belief can be a ruse. It can be a misnomer to actual reality to you. And it'll stopgap you from going across it and looking on the other side of the curtain and going, what is this?
Well, look what happens to people who get completely addicted to a psychic. I've visited about 5 psychics in my life, 5 or 7, and it was thrilling to see people who were able to do this sort of thing. But at some point, you really have to do it yourself. It's up to you to develop your own awareness. You can watch someone ride a bike, but you'll never know what it's like until you get on that bike and ride it. And we absolutely should be doing this, because this is who we are. If people knew how connected we were, they would treat people so much differently.
That is true.
I would come away from an astral projection experience and I would feel what people were feeling.
Yeah.
And it changed my behavior completely. Near-death experiencers talk about this, having a life review and feeling everything that they felt, that they inflicted, good or bad, on another person. We should all be walking and living that. And that way we would absolutely start to really connect in a way that would bring us this awareness, or we could have peace on earth overnight.
Yeah. Good luck with that, though. Unfortunately, I see a future where governments across the globe use artificial intelligence to do things like solve or prevent crime and use pre-crime strategies to do that, which I spoke of early in the intro, which is abhorrent to human nature and against every God-given gene in our body. How do we as humans prevent our governments from having the liberties to do this. You cannot walk in an airport without getting facial recognition, eye retina scans. I mean, it's already happening to us where every inch of our being is being violated with technology. So,
Time out. Do not participate. Turn off your TV. Turn off your Wi-Fi. Don't count on it.
Let me take that back. You don't have to participate. You could go live in the woods somewhere and completely live a sheltered life away from tech and everything else. But if you go in an airport, and you see this is happening, everybody's got a cell phone. Everything we do is accosted. There are flock cameras everywhere. You can't escape it, Dolly.
Let me make a point. You can't escape it because you won't give it up. If we all said no more, we are going to turn the clock back.
That's a delusion. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to, in a real world, no one's going to give up their cell phone. No one, including you and Preston. I guarantee it.
Are you a victim?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying globally, we need to make a stance against their liberties to do this to us.
We just said the same thing. Listen to me clearly. We just said the same thing. We have to make a stance. But you cannot make a stance with words alone because they mean nothing to them.
Absolutely. That's my point.
But what you can do is refuse to participate, to go silent on them, to not vote for them anymore. Ooh, it's not going to happen overnight.
It doesn't matter who you vote for.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Really. They're all in on it. The right, the left, the center, they're all in on it.
Well, that's why this isn't sustainable. You know, that's why there's going to be a revolution. I resisted getting a cell phone for years.
I want to finish my statement.
3 years
ago. Yeah, go ahead, Dolly.
Okay, thank you. I will let you know when I'm done saying this, all right? It is up to you and every one of us to decide for ourselves if this is a real thing in our lives. The cachet is, are we going to allow it to keep going on, or are we going to stop it? And our power is limited in this situation unless we all act together at the same time.
Correct.
That's the only way out of this. So what you can do is start a network, a chat work, or whatever, word to word, mouth to mouth, so that AI is not listening to you do it away from the system. You turn the system off so that you can have conversations that are not heard by AI. And everybody on the globe can pick a date and a time where we all say enough is enough. And in unison, in one voice, one conscious awareness together, go, you're done. We're not playing with you anymore. You can't have us as your victim anymore. Well, you control us no longer. But when you do that, you have to be willing to back it up with action. And this is the hard part, because action is not a guarantee of you surviving it. And the reason they have to hold on you and all of us together is that the threat of death or being annihilated or hurt or sanctioned or jailed is directly a result of going against what they want.
Absolutely.
So you wake up and you realize, you know what? I'm owned. We're all owned at the same time.
Absolutely.
So it's not a matter of us saying there's nothing I can do about it. Yes, there is. But you have to start that awareness thing and spread it so that everybody becomes aware together who are not those people. And then we all shut down at the same time. One of the greatest lessons that E.T. taught me when I was growing up is when I was doing something stupid, wrong, or morally inept, no sound, no nothing, they shut down. I heard nothing from them, total silence. It would jerk me so hard. And I would just go into pure shock. What's going on? What did I do? And the voice that came back to me was only one. And it was my mama, my ET mama. And she'd say, you need to think about what you just did. You need to think about what you just said, because the consequences of you going on in this direction are bad. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, you will be treated exactly as you behave. I went,
Yeah, there are examples of this working in history.
So if we keep behaving by doing what they tell us to do and using what they want us to use and keeping the Wi-Fi on and all this other kind of stuff, and not cleaning up our bodies and our minds and going back to the natural stuff that we should have been doing in the first place and working together and loving one another and not hating one another, we're doomed to their destructive decisions about us.
I agree with that 1,000%.
And that's the message we need to tell.
1,000%. The only problem, Dolly, that I see and feel and believe is that it's too late. It's too late.
Well, you say you're not, honey. You are.
AI is everywhere. Yeah. It is everywhere, even in places that you don't think it is there. The government is there. You are being watched, monitored, censored 24/7. It knows when you go to the bathroom at night. It knows when you go pee.
But it doesn't know your mind 100%.
True.
We do have power.
It's yours alone. It doesn't belong to them. And if you live within the bounds of who you really are, and you accept the fact that you're alone in this, that there aren't many people who are like you, and you just live that way, you can remember that even without this body, you go on. That you have that to look forward to. It doesn't matter what doom is in front of us right now, because we are 100% flat. You are right. We are doomed in anarchy, and you know what's about to start, and it's going to start. It has started. Okay. And how do you deal with that? You deal with that by being okay and healing yourself. Take care of you.
Bingo.
Okay.
That's exactly correct. Right. You start with you. And that's one of the reasons why I love conversations like this, because the energy gets put out into the ether and it becomes a part of mainstream consciousness.
Yes.
It's the little voices like ours that make the biggest difference, because you're exactly correct. It starts.
That's all it takes is one person to start doing it.
Absolutely.
The term boycott, you know where the term boycott came from? Ireland, 1880. Charles Boycott was overcharging his tenants, and people had enough of it. So they all got together and said, enough is enough. They reached a consensus, and he was ostracized.
Of course.
No more.
Of course.
And this has been a very...
They didn't throw him off a building.
It worked. It absolutely
worked.
That
word
got together. And now we still use that term. This is what we can do. There's always hope. I'm an optimist.
One another, right? ET lives in consensus. I've said it in Symmetry. I say it all the time when I'm talking to people. We have to live together. It's not harmony or union. It's consensus. We're all together in this. We all are as important as the next one. We're all the same. And we have to treat each other like we're treating ourselves. You know, that's one thing that Jesus said that's absolutely true. Treat your neighbor as you would have yourself treated. Importante. You must remember that you are not alone, and that everything matters, and that we matter to one another. And consensus is how we achieve that love. That's a type of love that we express out to one another. And but it begins with us. We have to learn, you know, we have to heal that inner.
Right.
Yep.
It really does begin with you. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this awakening that we're seeing, because people are individually owning that. And they see that it does begin with them.
Yep.
They really do.
Really. That's absolutely.
It starts in really interesting. You can write a song. Look at what John Lennon's song, you know, Imagine. And had a huge effect on the world. He absolutely made a contribution towards world peace.
So give us some, let's start with you, Preston. Give us some bullet points. I know it might be rough, on what we can do to tap into our intuitive abilities easier, better, to be more aware and in touch with them. What could we do, Preston?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the last few shows we've done with you is all about this. You know, we did one on remote viewing and so forth. And it's the same sort of thing. I'm going to sound a bit like a broken record, but meditation. This is the one thing that is present in pretty much every, quote, spiritual discipline, is going within and listening to yourself. And I've said this before, don't try to move past fear, because fear absolutely blinds your perception. If you have something you're afraid of, face it. If you have desires, things you have never achieved, go get them done. Get that out of the way.
Yes.
And if you're dealing with greed or lust or anger or gluttony or any of negative emotions, work through that.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can to
shadow work.
Gain experience,
Yeah.
have self-confidence. There was, the show Survivor. There's a guy on it, Ozzy, who absolutely blew me away because he was like, you absolutely can achieve what you set your mind to. My dad was like that.
Absolutely.
He taught me that you have so much personal power. So it's all about focus, intent, relaxation, lifting yourself out of delusion, separate your beliefs from your experiential knowledge. I should repeat that because that's a big one. Because people think they know what's going on, and a lot of it is just pure faith-based speculation. Really
cognitive dissonance too.
But ultimately, it's relaxation. Relax. You're gonna be fine. Have no fear. You are an integral part of this universe, and it's completely about relaxation and looking in and meditating.
Right.
And gaining wisdom and experience and applying that knowledge.
Yeah, and I love the part that you mentioned about fear, because one of my favorite quotes ever that has been, my kids know it, we repeat it to each other all the time. Fear is the mind killer. It is the tiny death that brings total obliteration.
Yeah, Frank Herbert.
Herbert wrote that in Dune.
Yeah. Good pointers.
Smart guy. Yeah, very smart guy.
Okay, Dolly, your turn. And thank you for that, Preston. That was so beautifully said. Thank you.
Give yourself the ability to take a mind bath. And what I mean by this is that your mind is starving all the time for input, genuine, real input. And it's like, you fill your bathtub up, you put Calgon in it, you sit in it, and you're like, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Meditation is the same thing, only you're bathing your mind. You're bathing your
a mind bath.
mind with consciousness. Yeah. And you go within. You go. It is the number one step that everybody should take in their day, twice a day, is to take a mind bath. Go in, relax, calm the body, let the body slip out of your consciousness's purview, because your consciousness wants to communicate with your mind. It wants to bathe you with its knowledge and reality. It's your programmer. It's your physical mind's programmer. And to understand that anything you perceive or understand is learnable. Okay? Know all that is knowable. So you seek. Remember that every day is a journey into knowledge. To seek good knowledge. Don't play games all the time. Don't waste your mind doing nothing. Learn something every day. Take one step every day to learn something new that's true and real, that you can
love that.
Do that. And then the third thing is to ground yourself in the physical, healthy part of this planet that you need to be on. Eat good food. Drink right water. Ground yourself to the magnetic energy that's flowing from this planet into your body. You were born to it. It exists because you're on it. Okay? We have to remember that there's a connection between everything and anything. There's electricity moving all through us everywhere all the time. And we are bathed in it, and we're living in artificial devices that cut us off from it.
Yes.
Don't do that. The internet and AI is not an electrical conduit. It's a lie. You need to be grounded to true energy. Seek that out. Your consciousness is true energy. We need to remember that. Tell yourself, write it on your mirror, put a sign up every day that you see. Tell yourself the truth. Don't forget. We have to train ourselves to remember things. Our physical mind. Well, start training your mind. After the mind bath, write it down, stitch it in a pillow. It might sound sarcastic, but it's not. That's how we learn. That's how we evolve.
We need to make a t-shirt, Dolly, that says, take a mind bath. I like that.
That's cool. Yep.
Breathe deeply.
Breathe deeply.
Go outside and put your feet in the sand or on the grass.
Go sit in the sun for 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Breathe deep.
Pet your dog.
Pet your dog. It's funny because my guest yesterday said, you need to go into the forest and just take a bath in the forest. And it just sparked such a wonderful feeling because he described it. He was like, smell the evergreens. And it was just, it reminded me of what you said, take a mind bath. I really like that.
Yeah. Remember when you see children, how they skip? You rarely see adults skipping. Skip.
Oh, skip.
Swing, get on a swing and swing on a tire.
Oh, there you go. That's a lot of fun.
Get in the rocket chair and rock for a while, you know?
Yeah.
We conduct electricity. We're electrical beings. You know, our consciousness is electricity. It's light. All electricity is light. Okay. And if we participate in the light, we're doing ourselves the biggest bloody favor we can do. You know, it's healthy. We need this. This is how we're here. And just sitting in a dark room with a thing over your eyes looking at an alternate reality is not it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Quieting the mind is a big one, you know. We can do all of these things. We can overcome fear. We can live in laughter and love. But ultimately, we really need to start moving past that chatter from the physical mind.
Oh, guaranteed. That's a big one. Yeah. That's a huge one. Do you guys have any stored comments that you want to go through? We could take the next 10 or 15 minutes and kind of answer some questions. I know a lot of people have been leaving questions and comments in there. Preston, I know you're usually good at that.
I've been so caught up in the conversation. I haven't really been watching.
Too.
So I could go back through them, but if anyone has one.
Okay, somebody was talking about people who deliberately go into lower energy. And that one caught me. I absolutely felt the comment coming in. Okay. That's what we mean by don't cut yourself off from reality. Okay. You're deliberately putting yourself into a lower energy field that keeps you from existing properly and being who you are. It's the same thing as a negative or a positive attitude. If you're going to walk around with a negative, bloody, attitude, you're not helping yourself. You're not conducting yourself like you should. Positive attitude is something we practice. It's not given to you. You have to become that, you know?
Right.
It's too easy to turn into an idiot than it is to learn. And we didn't come here to have it easy. We're intellectually superior consciousness in a body that has to learn the hard way for a reason. Okay. And that means this is the hard way. But once you learn it, you know it, you own it. It belongs to you. Knowledge is when you leave here, this existence, the only thing you take with you is not just experience, but you take the knowledge that you learned and employed with you.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's important to remember about yourself. That's part of the healing thyself thing. And if you're healing yourself, you're not deliberately going into a lower realm. You're keeping yourself where you ought to be. It's not vibration. I want y'all to remember this. Lower and higher vibrations are only sounds that came from something else that you can feel, see, or perceive here. Okay, like somebody clacked a bell down the road, you hear it. That's a vibrational sound, you hear it. Your own brain produces its own vibrational frequency sound. We all hear each other. And if your brain's producing, everybody around you is going to pick it up. They're going, you're going to have a bad attitude today. That's what that is. Stop having a bad attitude. Clear yourself. Take the bath.
Take the bath.
Clean it up. Make it feel better.
Brain bath. Yeah, I like that. Because you notice, if you get up in the morning and you have, say, a negative experience and you decide to carry that with you, you could go in the grocery store and have a problem. You could, go in your car and have an argument with somebody on the road. I mean, it just follows you because that's what you're emitting.
You're affecting. You want to know the fastest way to get that? You know that if you talk to your plants, they thrive, right? You give them good energy, mental energy, they thrive. If you walk by your plants and you're crappy about them and you don't say good things to them, you treat them like crap, that plant's going to bloody die.
Absolutely.
They prove that by people who go in the grocery store. They set up a grocery store to pick up the energy fields of everybody who's walking around the vegetables. And they watched the vegetables and they took calculations of everything. You know what they found out? People who were mean, disturbed, not feeling good, diseased, whatever, bad attitudes were making the vegetables rot faster. They weren't healthy anymore.
I believe that 1,000%.
And it's like, if we can affect it like that, physically affect, what are we doing to each other when we do that?
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, my hair fell out today. Why? Ask yourself why. What were you doing? You're making your own misery is what I'm trying to say.
And that is so true.
As a
So
writer, sometimes I just allow myself to just write freehand without planning it. And one evening I was thinking about, how do we become spiritually enlightened? I got this sudden impulse to just pull out the computer, and I wrote as fast. I wasn't writing this stuff.
Like automatic writing?
Yeah. Well, and kind of. I mean, I feel,
yeah.
I wouldn't quite call it that because I was aware of what was coming through, but I felt like I was getting some guidance here.
There you go.
There was like 10 things that you can do to reach spiritual enlightenment. And we've already talked about something. One was meditation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another was charity. Move past yourself and give to others.
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Another was positive thinking. Because if you're putting yourself down and you're negative, you're going to have a real hard time with it. Ultimately, you have to move towards the good.
Right.
Another was detachment. Don't cling to outcome. You
Yes.
got to step back. It's not about desires and all this. Like Buddha talked about this. Another was reading sacred works, whatever it is for you. For me, it's near-death books, but it can be the Bhagavad Gita or whatever.
Yeah, I've read
the Bible,
that. Yeah.
Or anything like this. Another, because number 6 is the company you keep. If you are surrounded by people who are pulling you down, you need to really look into that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you're watching a negative TV show, that's the company you keep.
Oh, that's a big one too, Dolly.
All right, I want to make a point.
Wait, there's 4 more.
Right,
Those are 6. Meditation, charity, positive thinking, detachment, sacred works, the company you keep. 7, this is what came through me. Austerity. That means you don't need things. You don't need stuff to make you happier. Shopping,
so true.
Food, all of this stuff. I'm not saying you should flagellate yourself. I'm saying it's really not about stuff. 8, pursuit of knowledge. It's one of the reasons we're here. You need to work hard to absolutely gain wisdom. 9 is what I already mentioned, your hopes and your fears. Realize those. Move past them. You've got to conquer yourself. And 10 is develop psychic abilities.
Okay.
There you go. That's what the quote spirits gave me.
Okay.
Those were wonderful, Preston.
Okay, there's a huge point. I watch the chats. Okay. I have my phone, just so y'all can see. I have the chats open and I can see all 4 platforms on this phone. Okay. One of the things that I realized a long time ago, and I'm going to make a point of saying it now because it's time, is that when you give information about yourself on here and you're talking about your experiences, I flatly love to see that because I want you all to understand something. You're expressing your heart. You're expressing your love and you're expressing your understanding when you do that about yourself and what you experienced. And we all cannot have anything wrong to think about that. We all must accept it and value it. Every time somebody says something, it goes straight into me and I see you, I hear you. And that most of the time when people are very adamant about doing it, I feel 2 things from them right off the bat. And that is that their desire to be heard is not being met.
Yeah.
And then their desire to be loved is also not being met in that way. Because the more different we are, the less some people will have anything to do with you. And I want you all to know something. In this place where we are all safe together, in this chat, in this room, in this conversation, you are 100% known. You are 100% valued. You are 100% cherished. You are 100% heard. And you are okay. Do not ever think that it's anything different from that. You are okay. And that whatever you've learned from this, whatever you go and take with you from this is a gift from us to you. Every conversation you have, every time you say something is also a valued gift to me and to Preston and to Caroline. We look at stuff, we go back and look at your things. We want to know what you think and what you feel. And this is the type of conversations that we need to make for everybody. Every time you get in a room, let's not talk about sports. Let's talk about who we really are. Let's talk about reality to one another. Let's show each other that we value that we're concerned for that. And if you're in a place where somebody needs help, they're there for you to help. Okay, remember that. You're not losing anything to help. You gain everything by helping, no matter what it is. You don't have to give somebody your entire life. You don't have to take over and take care of them. but giving them one thing might be the thing that helps them step up again for themselves. This is how we should treat one another and
Absolutely.
know these things,
I love that. That was
said.
lovely. Dolly.
Beautifully said. Thank you for that. What are you guys working on or want to talk about? Who you have in your upcoming guests? Anything like that?
Yeah, we're doing a Q&A.
Yeah, Monday. We're doing a Q&A on Monday. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Those are always fun, and we always do a book giveaway, 3 books. So that's also
that's
fun.
great.
And yeah, I want to get Michael Schratt back on. He just got his book out on Kindle, so very excited.
We want to talk about that. We want to give him a chance to, expound on it a little bit and, help him out.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I look at it this way. Every guest we have is basically us trying to give everybody the ability to say what they got to say,
Yes.
And the only thing that I do try to endeavor to do is don't come on our show BSing me, because I'll hear it right away.
Yeah.
I might put you on the spot for that, Other than that, if you want to come on the show and you got something to say and we pick up on it, and we do bring you on the show. We just want everybody to tell what they understand and what they experience. There's more truth in that than anything else in the whole wide world. We can learn so much from that. And so that's cool, So when we look for people, we go in that direction, And other than that, we're working on symmetry too. And
yeah, that's exciting.
And we're taking off time of traveling right now. We both decided that we've done enough of that for a while, and we're just gonna, we got spring coming, so we got planting, got fruit trees we got to deal with, and chickens and all this kind of stuff. So we're gonna be grounding things, And Preston's got 3 more books that he's involved in writing right behind symmetry too. So he's got that going on,
Yes, I love keeping you busy.
Yep.
It's kind of a problem because one of the best things you can do is just take a breather and meditate and just connect back to yourself and not get too caught up
it's almost a shame that they don't keep these chats like in a repository, like on YouTube or something.
I know that
it's
bothers me a lot. It goes away, and Preston said, "No, you can bring them back." And I've tried 6 ways to a dozen to try to bring them back.
And I can't. And it's so frustrating because like you're trying to read, but yet you have to be focused on the conversation. And I try to star some comments, but it's just, they should put them in a repository where you could go back and at least answer them or acknowledge them.
They're there. I'm telling you, they're there. Yes.
Where are they?
It takes a day or 2 to upload, and then you can go back and you click on the upper right somewhere, and you can follow along with the chat.
Well, YouTube, if you're listening, and I know you are AI, hear it clearly. Why don't you make a button for that?
Yeah,
there is. I'm telling you, there is.
It's not
all right, Preston, we're going to have to go dig for that and find it for sure.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It took me a few clicks, but
Yeah,
they should, like Dolly said, put up an icon or something where you can say, "Hey, see chat,"
Yeah. It's not just this. Everybody should be able to do that. If you're watching the show and you're in the comments section, you should be able to bring it up for yourself too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. To remember what was said,
Yeah. Well, thank the 2 of you so much from my heart. It's always such a joy to have these conversations and share them. And anything else you want to say in closing about this topic or about anything, Preston, anything in starred that you want to talk about, or are you good?
Just thanks to everyone who watched. Thanks to those who were able to donate some. And it's all about love. It really is. So
and we're grateful to you, Caroline, for having us and for giving us an opportunity. Thank you very, very much. It's
my pleasure.
It's almost amazing and a gift that you can't even know. Thank you.
Okay? Oh, my pleasure. It's always so much fun connecting. It gets the sparks flowing in your brain, and
absolutely.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thanks to you guys again. And we will be seeing you, of course, again. Thanks to everyone in the chat. May you have a blessed weekend coming up. I have to bounce. I have a date with my sister to grocery shop.
Yay.
Not that kind of date, but a grocery shop date, which is fun.
Yeah. I love grocery stores.
I do too. It's so calming.
It is.
Really is. It's very relaxing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I see your lovely chats, your comments. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.